What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another video for you guys. We're reporting live from Frankfurt today. A lovely summer's day, or sunny day in Frankfurt, should I say. I wouldn't say summer's day because it is a bit cold, a bit chilly. But we are here to give you the Premier League Spur-Spective. Obviously, we have our scores between me and Sim reacting to predict the Prem. Currently, it's 54-53 in Sim's favour. It's 5 points for completely correct score, 1 point for a correct result. The star man as well. Once you pick the man, you cannot pick him again for the remainder of the season. It's 5 points for a goal and 3 points for an assist. And let's get straight into it, starting off with the North London derby. Sim went 2-2, I went 3-2 to Spurs, but unfortunately it was 3-1 to Arsenal. But I think we can swiftly move on from that one. 0 points each for that one. Bournemouth, Brentford up next. It's finished 0-0 on the day. Both of us going for 2-1 to Brentford, but a poor draw there.
Yeah, and again, Bournemouth still unbeaten. I'm pretty sure 1 win and 3 draws, I believe now, and it's a good result for them. They're slow. They're kind of just trudging along, picking up their points, going very well, very much unnoticed. Although still not getting many wins, still a lot of draws there. So they're going to have to pick up some wins sooner rather than later if they're really going to make a good fight of staying in the league. Brentford, off the back of a bad defeat to Arsenal, not on the score sheet. I believe there was a penalty, which the VAR suggested the referee go look at, and he looked at it and said no penalty, which was quite interesting. What do you thought it was? I haven't seen it back, to be honest. I was so depressed after North London derby. I haven't seen much football, but I read about it. So one of the rare instances where the referee doesn't take the advice of the VAR. But I think in terms of just the result in general, good point for Bournemouth, and Brentford maybe slowing down a bit.
Let's move on to Palace against Chelsea. It finished 2-1 to Chelsea with a last-minute goal to take us away from a 5 point each, because both of us went for 1-1 Palace against Chelsea there. Aubameyang finally getting on the score sheet.
Yeah, a nice goal as well, and Palace took the lead through Edouard. Chelsea got back in it, and they were, I don't know, it was kind of a very even game. I think I was watching large parts of it, and I think 1-1 probably would have been fair. But a great goal by Conor Gallagher, 25 yards out into the top corner, against his old club as well. Maybe he's going to start performing, because he wasn't really doing it under Tuchel. But maybe now with Potter there, he can find the right position for him. And the first win for Potter now, after drawing to Salzburg. So in his first Premier League game, he's got a win. It's a good win as well, because Palace is not an easy place to go. But I don't think it was it was a good performance, but it wasn't like... Look, it's still a work in progress, is what I'm trying to say. But do you see what Chelsea posted? They posted a video with Aubameyang scoring with the troops saying about my blood clot. Yeah.
No, I didn't see that, but I was watching bits of this game, and I felt like Palace would have been very frustrated with that last-minute goal from Conor Gallagher. It was last 5 minutes from Conor Gallagher. 89th minute goal from Conor Gallagher. I think Palace did enough in this game to get a point, and for Conor Gallagher, a player that they had last year, to score a goal like that in the last minute will definitely be a kick in the teeth to them, especially how well they played. But 0 points on us for that one. Let's move on to Fulham against Newcastle. Sim going 1-1. I went 2-1 to Fulham. It did end up 4-1 to Newcastle. Fulham got a man sent off, didn't they? Right in the early stages. That killed the game for Fulham. And then Newcastle just went on and really battered them, really.
Yeah, FPL fans will not be happy with a last-minute goal by Reed for Fulham, which ruined the clean sheet.
Not if you had Trippier.
I did have Trippier, and he went off quite early, so a tiny bit early, so that was good. But look, Newcastle getting their second win of the season, which is really important for them. Callum Wilson back on the score sheet as well. With Isaac injured, they'll probably needed someone like him to come back firing after an injury. And obviously that's really good for Newcastle. And look, it obviously massively helped by the win. By the red card. So you can't learn too much, I would say, from the game, even because Newcastle have only won 1 game this season, and now it's 2. Yeah. But I'm saying you can't learn too much from it. It's not like,
no, you can't.
Be saying Newcastle improved now because they won, because it's a red card after 5 minutes. So when you play 85 minutes with 10 men, it's never going to be easy.
Yeah, it's true, but I mean, what was it? It was quite a high score by half time already, wasn't it? I mean, as soon as the man got sent off, it was just domination station.
It was 2-0 at half time, and Almiron got 2 goals. And his first goal as well. What a goal that was on the volley, putting Jack Grealish's words back in his mouth. But fair play to Newcastle. Was a good win. Look, you have to take advantage of the 10 men when it happens, but when it happens after 5 minutes, like when you got 85 minutes to score, like yeah, I don't think Newcastle will say they're back on form now just because they won that game, but obviously it's confidence boosting after only winning 1 game so far this season.
Yeah, definitely. I think even though Newcastle haven't been getting the results, I still think they've been playing fairly well this season. So I think it's only a matter of time till they go on a good run, to be honest. But anyway, let's move on. Still 0 points on the board for both of us this week as we move on to Anfield and Liverpool against Brighton, which finished 3-3. Sim going 3-0 to Liverpool. I went 2-1 to Liverpool. But Brighton, yeah, you got the 3 right, but you didn't get Trossard's 3 right because Trossard with a hat trick. I mean, what a season he's having, or what a couple of seasons he's had for Brighton. You know, getting that goal in the last minute. Brighton went, 2-0 up quite early, and then Liverpool got it back. They went 3-2 up, and you're thinking, all right, maybe Liverpool are getting back on track here. But Trossard in the last minute with a beautiful goal.
Yeah, they just don't seem to be defending right at the moment, Liverpool. They can't, like... I think when Liverpool were at their best, they were... Obviously, they're offensively so intense, but defensively, they're not giving many chances away. It's kind of like when we were under our people, like you suffocate the opposition and they just don't... They're not able to create chances because you're just too intense. At the moment, that's where they're getting it really wrong. They still look very dangerous going forward, even in the games where they've not been good. They've still looked pretty dangerous going forward, but defensively, they're just all over the shop. Trent, again, getting a bit exposed. They just look so open.
Don't tell that to Klopp.
Yeah, but like they just look so open at the back, and that's something that has got to be a worry for Jurgen Klopp, how they don't seem to be able to stop conceding chances. Obviously, there's a lot of what's going on here. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Obviously, Trossard with a hat-trick, as you say, he's having a brilliant season. Some brilliant finishes from him as well. That got the hat-trick and obviously the late equaliser. And for De Zerbi's first game, really encouraging signs for him, and maybe they're going to carry on where they left off under Potter because they played some really good football, especially for the second goal they scored. Oh, sorry, the first goal they scored some really good football to make their way into the Liverpool box, and another damaging result really for Liverpool. If you would have turned it around to 1-3-2, you would have said, all right, maybe they're getting back on form, but conceding that late equaliser just continues that narrative of their struggles, and it's not going to, and you know, they're having a tough time at the moment. I mean, like we're still, we're like Spurs. Obviously, we lost on the weekend. We're like 7 points ahead of them right now, and that's, you know, fairly significant.
Yeah, and you know, they go to the Emirates this weekend, and if Arsenal beat them, they're like 14 points ahead of them at this stage of the season already.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts, considering where Liverpool were last season. So, is it? I don't know. I mean, how bad does it have to get before Liverpool are going to consider whether Klopp's the right man to take them forward this season? I just get the feeling that even if he has a bad season, they're just going to let him run it.
He's got so much credit in the bank, though, Klopp, doesn't he?
And you will also know with Liverpool and Klopp, like even if they're having a bad Premier League season, there's always a chance that they could just do something at the Champions League with the way they play. So I do think even if they're like it's not looking good for them in the league and they're going to finish like just like 6th or something, I reckon they will keep him until the end of the season and then look at other options. Maybe it might be time for him to go, but I can't see them sacking him mid-season.
I can still see them creeping into the top 4, though. You know what I mean?
Look, it's so early. They might do that. I'm just saying, like, even if they do have a bad season, I don't think they'll pull the trigger on the sacking in mid-season, just because it's just in case they do something in the Champions League, I think.
All right, let's move on to Southampton against Everton, which finished 2-1 to Everton. Finally, Everton get their win, first win of the season. Sim went 2-0 to Southampton. I went 1-1, but it was 2-1. And Frank Lampard, I mean, I know they haven't been winning recently, but I've kept saying on this show that I'm liking the look of them structurally. I think they're being a hard team to beat. They're drawing a lot of games, and they finally got their win.
Yeah, and Everton actually got the best defensive record now in the Premier League, which is incredible to think about, considering where they were last season. That's definitely a credit, and I think that's definitely goes down. That's credit to Lampard, who's clearly building a base from the back, and they're making them tough to beat, and then building on that. And look, it's the first win, so they're moving in the right direction. Dwight McNeil got his first goal for the club as well, and a nice finish for him. And they were 1-0 down as well, and they would been 1-0 down, and they conceded that in the second half to go 1-0 down. So must have taken a lot of character to turn that around and get the win. But Hasenhüttl is under a bit of pressure now, I think. With it's inconsistent results again, fairly poor start to the season by all accounts, and I think since for the last 6 months. Again, they go through these periods, don't they, Sander? They go long stretches of poor form, and then they turn it around, and then they go more long stretches. So
they get saved by those like 5 or 6 games in a row. Sometimes they just pile drive.
They get a big result, something like City or something. They'll just do a scalp out of nowhere, and that will save like Hasenhüttl's job. But maybe we might be seeing the beginning of the end for him at the moment with the results going away.
I think we've said that so many times though.
So true. We have, but it has to happen at some point, doesn't it? He's not going to stay in the job forever. But look, fair play to Lampard. Good win for him.
All right, let's move on. By the way, still 0 points for all of us in this week.
Great weekend for us in that sense.
But let's move on. Let's talk about West Ham Wolves, the game which sealed the fate of Bruno Lage at Wolves. He has been sacked now. You went 1-0 to West Ham. I went 0-0. It was 2-0 to West Ham, so you nearly got a 5-pointer there, but not quite. But West Ham fully deserving of the victory here.
Yeah, so close, so close. But Wolves, I was watching the game actually, and at 1-0, Wolves were well in that game, and they might feel a bit annoyed they didn't get a goal. Like especially when Diego Costa came on, he actually looked pretty good in his half an hour cameo he had on the pitch, and he looked.
I feel like though, like consistently you say that about Wolves, or people are saying that about Wolves, about how they don't get the result, how they lose, or they win 1-0, or they lose 1-0, or draw 0-0, and they're the better team, or they play well.
The fact of the matter is, I read a stat, since April they've scored less goals than Burnley, and Burnley got relegated last season. You know what I mean? Like Burnley haven't been in the Premier League for 2 months, and they still have less goals than them since April. That is damning, and whatever way you slice it, that's not good enough, especially for the talent they have. People like Neto and Podence and Hwang. They got some decent players there, Moutinho, Neves, and now they got Matthias Nunes. Like, they got some decent talent. They've got 3 goals, I believe, this season in the Premier League. That's just nowhere near good enough. And however pretty they might play and however solid they might be defensively, when the goals are drying up that horrendously, there's always a good chance that one goal goes against you and your heads drop because you're not scoring goals, and it becomes very difficult. So I think I don't think it's a bad.
Why are they not scoring though? I know they don't really have that focal man up top. Raul Jimenez ain't really the player he was after that big injury that he had, but they've got good attacking talent. Podence, Guedes, Pedro Neto. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's a problem they had last season as well. Even when Jimenez was fit, they would create loads of chances, or they would be creating chances, but they just wouldn't be able to get in the back of the net. Whether you can put that on Large or not, I think when it goes on for that long, the manager has to take responsibility. When it's a short period, I think you can put it down to stats, and what you can put it down to maybe he's being unlucky. But when it's that kind of, when it's so long term, Large has to be ultimately responsible. So I think he's got to get more out of those attacking players, and they can't go on like this forever, hoping for a 1-0 win and stuff like that. It's not good enough, unfortunately, especially when you look at, when they first came to the Premier League, they were a good team and they were battling for Europe, and they were in Europe, and they got to, I believe, the quarterfinals. So I know they didn't go right under
Nuno back.
Apparently might be looking at Steve Cooper if he goes from Forest, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I don't know. Well, Nuno's got his job in Middle East, doesn't he? So I don't think he's going to go back anytime soon.
Making them proud.
Very proud, very proud. But no, I think, was it the right decision? I feel bad for him because I do think he got his team playing like good football, but ultimately it was it was the defensive part. They couldn't get the goals, and that's what cost him his job.
Yeah, absolutely right there. So finally a point on the board. Sim gets a point there.
West Ham's first win?
I don't think it might have been, actually. I'm not sure, to be honest.
Goal by Skamaka, by the way.
Brilliant goal from Skamaka, and he needed that because he couldn't hit a barn door before that. I mean, how many chances did he have? He had so many. There was one open goal chance. There was a couple of other ones. He blazed over the bar, and he gets the hardest one, literally the hardest one. But yeah, brilliant goal. But let's move on. Finally, a point, by the way. A point. Simeon gets a point on the board, so 55-53. Next up is City against United in the Manchester derby. Sim went 4-2, which actually wasn't too far off, and I went 3-1, but it did finish 6-2 in an absolute 6-3. Sorry, in an absolute annihilation at the Etihad. I mean, it could have been 10-11 goals.
Yeah, that's 6-3. You look at it, you think, it was a battering. That flatters United because they got 2 goals in the last few minutes, which made the scoreline a bit more respectable. But it was the Haaland show. Haaland and Foden, to be fair, but Haaland involved
6 goals, 2 goal scorers.
Yeah, but Haaland involved in 5 of the 6 goals. 3 goals, 2 assists. The man is an absolute machine. It's absolutely crazy, the run of form he's on. 14 Premier League goals now, 17 goals in all competitions. I mean, we've never seen a start to a season in English football like it. It's absolutely nuts. And I think if he carries on this rate of scoring, he's going to end up with 66 Premier League goals, which, you know what, you wouldn't bet against it right now with the way he's going. As long as he stays fit, there's absolutely no reason why he can't go and absolutely obliterate. I think the record is 33 goals in the Premier League. 32, maybe 32. He's going to obliterate that at this current rate. He's already on 14. I remember listening at the beginning of the season, and Rory from Rory Jennings, he said a good season for Haaland. He said a good season for Haaland would be 15 goals. 15? Yeah, and he's already, we're just gone October, and he's already on 14. It's absolutely nuts, this record of goal scoring, and I don't know why anyone should be surprised, because logically it's what should happen. And look, to be fair, Ten Hag, they were turning it around, but this will maybe be a bit of knock to their confidence. But I think City can do this to anyone on their days. I wouldn't be too downbeat if I was Ten Hag, but it wasn't great defensively, that's for sure. But City were just absolutely amazing. They were a joy to watch throughout the game. And you got to say, Foden as well, brilliant hat trick from him. And what a brilliant performance from Man City in the Manchester derby.
Absolutely, and before the season, the odds for Haaland to get over 40 Premier League goals were 100 to 1. 100 to 1 before, and it looks like he's gonna do that with absolute ease. I mean, I think he's already only 8 goals behind the Golden Boot last year. Son and Salah, 9 goals.
9 goals, but yeah, mad. Absolutely, the numbers are just insane. Absolutely insane, and he bagged 2 assists as well. So he's doing that. He's helping his team as well with the assists. So it's just absolutely bonkers. Like some of his finishes as well, you just don't know how he gets there. He's just stretching, and looks like he has no right to get there, and he ends up not only getting there but turning into the back of the net as well. He's an absolute machine, and wow, it's just amazing.
I'm not sure how long he's going to stick around in the Premier League for. That's the thing.
He's double the next guy. Kane is second top goal scorer with 7, which is also 7 in 8 games. You're thinking, what a start to the season? But then Haaland is double that. It's mad.
He's made like a goal a game, or just under a goal a game, seem rubbish, to be honest. But anyway, a point each for us there, 56-54. Moving on to Leeds against Villa, both of us going for 2-1 to Leeds. It did finish 0-0 in a ball draw. Sinistera getting sent off for Leeds, and Villa couldn't capitalise.
Yeah, I think Villa will be it would have been frustrating, because to play against 10 men, I think the majority of the second half, I think got sent off fairly early in the second half. So they had a lot of the second half to get the goal. You could see Gerrard was visibly frustrated on the touchline. The more the chances went begging. And you know what? If anything, Leeds nearly got the winner late on. Bamford looking quite sharp, nearly assisted Click, and there was very nearly a goal for Leeds near the end, which would have put the knives would have been out for Gerrard if that was the case. And he was in his press conference. He was asked about this teenager Cameron Archer, and it was a weird response from him. He said, like, "Are you a fan of him? Because you keep asking about him." He's like, "I swear, every question you ask about him is about Cameron Archer, and I think you must be a fan of his because you keep asking about him." It's like, why was he snapping at journalists and stuff? It's a bit weird. I think he might be feeling the pressure a bit, Stevie G. And results like this probably won't help him. Like when you're up against 10 men, you got all that attacking talent they have, and you can't break him down and score the goal. And then it has to be frustrating from Gerrard's point of view. So I think at the end of the day, it wasn't a good result for him. I think Leeds will be proud that they ground out the draw in a difficult circumstance. But again, carries on their winless run, so they're not going to be too happy. But at least they had that fight to get the draw.
I think Leeds will be all right. I mean, I'm not too worried about Leeds going down. I don't think they should be worried about that. But I think Villa are the ones that need to be worried, with Gerrard looking like doesn't know. I mean, he, like you say, snapping in press conferences, feeling the pressure. I think Villa really need to watch themselves, because they're on a slippery slope at the moment. But the last game of the weekend was Leicester against Forest last night, which finished 4-0 to Leicester. Sim went 3-2 to Leicester, and I went 3-2 to Forest, but it was anything but 3-2 to Forest. I mean, Forest were dreadful. Leicester completely swatted them aside. And finally, Leicester get their first win of the season.
Yeah, and look, they're not going to have too many easier games than yesterday, because Forest made it so easy for them. We were watching it in a bar, and Forest just rolled over for them pretty much throughout the game. They were trying to play out from the back and they were just giving it straight to Leicester, like in really dangerous areas, and Leicester were capitalising. James Maddison continued his unbelievable form this season and last season, with some really good goals and really good assists as well. I don't think, again, Leicester was a brilliant win. I don't think we learned too much about them. I think we learned more about Forest in this game than we do about Leicester, just because Forest aren't great at the moment. But Steve Cooper under real pressure now, and there's talks about maybe they're looking at replacing him. And is he? But the problem is they could replace him, but whoever comes in has the same problem. You have to integrate all these different players.
I mean, can you really expect to sign 20 new players and like expect them to gel straight away? I mean, surely if you give the manager this amount of money to spend and you bring in this amount of players, surely you need to give him the time to let them gel as well.
Yeah, but I 100% agree. But an owner will probably be looking at, look, I invested 150 million and you can't bloody score a goal, and that's
Realistic though, is it?
100%. They have. Look, he'll be frustrated, Cooper, that they're not playing better than they are, but that's what happens when you sign so many players and they're paying the price for it maybe a bit at the moment. It seemed very disjointed. They don't seem to be playing. It's just defensively they seem all over the place. Going forward, they were probably unlucky not to get at least a couple of goals yesterday. I think Awoni hit the post and Brennan Johnson had an open goal which he miscontrolled, and that probably would have been a good chance for him. So they had chances to score. But at the back, they're all at sea. All at sea. There's no cohesion. No one knows their roles. Continually opened up. So that's where they're really struggling at the moment. That's where they've got to start improving. And I think Steve Cook as well. Like, he's their leader at the back, and he wasn't good enough for Bournemouth like 3 years ago. So what makes you think he's going to be good enough for Forest now is beyond me. But look, good for Leicester. Good morale boosting win for them. I think the true test will come if they can go on a good run of form. But if they go and lose the next game, then they're back at the same place. So I don't think they've out of the woods just yet.
I mean, Leicester had a really good performance against us. Even could have taken more from that game before those changes anyway. They had a good performance last night. So the attacking talent's there. James Maddison's on complete fire. They've got different players as well, like Dewsbury Hall and Harvey Barnes and Vardy up front and Daka and Iniacha. I mean, they've got enough talent there. And I think there are definitely three. I mean, where they are right now is a false position for Leicester. It really is. So I think I'm not too worried about Leicester. I think they'll get back to where they need to be. I think mid-table around they'll finish this season. But let's move on to the star men. And Simeon picked Jack Harrison, which did nothing for Leeds as they drew 0-0. And I picked James Maddison. And what a week to pick him. 2 goals and an assist. A 13-point haul on the star man this week, which takes the tallies to 57-67 in my favour. For the first time this season, I am leading, finally. So yeah, that is your Spur-Spective this week. Like I said, 57-67 is the points tally. We'll see you all for Predict the Prem on Thursday. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.